Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Lance here, and today I want to chat with you about my insecurities. I want to chat with you not only just about my insecurities, but I want to talk about how my insecurities early on were the driving factor that pushed me into the habits that I learned and developed over the last 23 years that have allowed my clients to actually have food freedom, flexibility in their approach, and actually be able to keep off weight for more than 90 days that they lose. And so the thing of it is that a lot of people, I perceive at least, that a lot of people may not know my insecurities. I know my clients do. I know that my friends do. But the reason I want to share this with you is because if you have somehow bought into the notion that me, because I'm a fitness coach, that I can't relate to the insecurities that you might have, or that I never went through the areas that drive most people. Basically what I'm saying is if somehow in your mindset you've convinced yourself that if you've watched any of my stuff that, well, Lance doesn't get it. Clearly, he's been a fitness coach and, he doesn't get what I go through. I want to share with you a little bit of my story so that you know that I'm just like you. I'm not obsessed with fitness. I wasn't a jock. I played football 1 year. I was convinced to do it, and it was the worst decision I ever made. I hated it. It was awful. I wish I'd have played a little bit of baseball, but that was really about it. I loved reading. I loved, being in art, playing music. I was an academic for all intents and purposes. So much so that, even in middle school and elementary school, kids would kind of teasingly, call me Mr. Encyclopedia or the Human Dictionary, things like that. I say all that just to paint the picture that this is who I was. It's still who I am, but this is who I was. And I was not the one who was getting picked first on teams. I was not the one who was eager to go out and play sports. I was actually really shy, more concerned with, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to do, I just was different. Here's where this led, though. Most of my life, adolescence especially, I grew up feeling like I was made incorrectly. It's just kind of something that I felt awkward. I worried about things that other people didn't. I had anxieties like crazy. And on top of that too, I was interested in things that other kids really weren't interested in, unfortunately. And so for me, I felt like always the odd man out, always. And finally it reached a pinnacle, middle school, high school area, in which case I felt so invisible. And I can remember, I won't share all the, the crappy kids things say. I will give you kind of a couple of instances just that kind of led to my insecurities. I can remember in 8th grade walking down a hall, a kid I've never met, walking down the hall, and he stops and goes, "You've got a huge nose." And I'm like, okay, wow, that's, I can think of so many other times. I can remember a time where a girl came up, where me and a friend were walking, a girl came up and said, "Oh, my friend thinks that you're really cute," and this, that, and the other. Well, that didn't happen to me often. And of course, the friend that I was with, lovely friend he was just like, "Lance, are you joking? Him?" And makes these statements. So over the course of time, these things compounding upon one, upon another, and rejection, I began to see myself as this skinny academic, this skinny geeky kid who was skinny fat, who didn't fit in with the other boys, who really didn't fit in with many of anybody, honestly. And it began to lead to immense insecurities, where there was anxiety, severe worry, and social anxieties that caused me to overthink everything, and kind of avoid things and miss out. And so for me, I know my mom would always talk with me. My mom is very outgoing, and she would always kind of explain to me, like, "Look, your fears are holding you back from things that I know that your heart desires to do, things that I know that you would like to do. And it's all rooted in these insecurities, etc." Now, she didn't tell me it was rooted in insecurities. That's just what they were. So the thing of it is that I saw myself as one thing, which my thermostat was set for. So what this means is that I had a thermostat that says, "You're inadequate, you're not enough, you're just this geeky skinny kid that gets good grades, and that's it." And unfortunately, I desired obviously significantly more than that. I desired to feel enough, to feel adequate. I desired to honestly to feel strong, to feel like I was not just enough, but more than enough, that I was actually desired to be around, that I was missed when I wasn't around. And these are all the insecurities. Like, that I battled. And guys, honestly, these things still pop up from time to time. When I'm doing these videos and I can see myself in, on the viewfinder, as it's called, there are times where it's like I'm a little bit more dehydrated, and so it looks like the veins are gone, or it looks like my arms are smaller, and it takes me right back to those old insecurities that say, you're just that skinny kid, you're just that, you're not worthy, you're not valuable, you're not valued, etc. And I know, if I could pause for a second, very quickly, this is real. These are the things that I deal with. This is why my empathy is so heavy, because when I'm looking to work with somebody and I'm telling them that I get it, I need them to understand that I get it. I understand what it's like to let me put it this way. I can remember a specific time in which case I had gotten myself, I got myself super lean. I think I was around 19 or 20. Lauren and I had been married for just a little bit, which, if you can believe it. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I feel like I've lost a lot of this muscle. And I didn't really know how to cut back then. I didn't know how to cut without losing lean body mass. So I can remember dropping back down and feeling, yeah, I look really lean and these abs look great, but in my clothes, I feel so skinny. And I was so nervous that somebody was going to call that out, because those are the sort of things that happen to me all the time. And sure enough, we were actually at a church event, no less. And Lauren and I were at this place, and I don't remember what happened. We were getting ready to do this church event, and 2 or 3 of my friends were stating something about, dang man, you stopped working out? You look like you lost like 15 pounds of muscle. What's the deal? Immediately, wind out of my sails. I felt crushed. I felt defeated, because what they didn't know is that, it immediately took me back to 6, 7 years prior, 4 years, whatever it was, no, 6 years prior, in which case I felt this big. I felt invisible. I felt unworthy. I felt like I was unaccepted. And so then what we did is we had this notion of mine that said, I'm still not big enough. If I can get bigger, if I can put on more muscle and still stay this lean, maybe then I won't hear this negative stuff about me. Maybe then I'll get a compliment for once that'll be on my hard work, or how good I look instead of how bad I look, or how weird I am, or how different I am, or how whatever I am. So for me, I was miserable and felt like I was inadequate. And this, unfortunately, is where I became desperate to feel differently than I did every single day. And here's the good news, though. I began to dwell not on what I felt like today, but I began to dwell on what it might feel like to have more muscle, to feel adequate. So I began to daydream and fantasize about these things. And what I would do is I would begin to see this as my goal. And as I saw this as my goal, because I was learning through Tony Robbins and learning through all of these mentors and coaches and people, because I desired so much to feel like normal, to feel like I belonged, to feel like I deserved to feel good about myself. And so with that being said, I learned to start creating a plan or action steps based on that goal that I wanted, that feeling. And it wasn't just about like, I need to be at a number. I want to be at like, if I'm just at this weight, I'll feel good. It was everything, guys. I told myself my arms, I could picture it. My arms would look a certain way, my shoulder caps, my chest, my abs, my facial structure, and I would be thicker, I would be this, that, and the other. I convinced myself this, and every day when I was working out or I was doing whatever activity or practice that was in alignment with that desired outcome, whatever I was doing, I was envisioning microscopic changes happening while I was doing it, that I was just getting closer, that I was like a sculpture. Picture a sculpture where you're like, it's not like you're done in one sitting, but every little thing that you do begins to make that picture more real. And since I was in art, that's what I did. And in my mind, I was sculpting, okay? So the thing of it is I made sure to find, after this, tons of others who had a similar story to prove to myself that I could do this as well and that I would be better off for it. And so I did. I found Lou Ferrigno was bullied and picked on. I found so many people that were either bullied or that didn't feel adequate and became successful. And I studied and I read and I looked up what they did And then I would find out and I would look at things that, there was usually a grouping of things that successful people did that not only were successful, that achieved things, but actually felt joy and were fulfilled. And those were the things that I began studying and doing. So next thing I know, I began taking action so that I wouldn't be creating the very environment on repeat that I didn't actually want. So again, it was so important for me that I didn't just daydream and fantasize. I had to take action to make this thing a reality, just like my fantasy in my head was. And then the thing of it is that dissatisfaction was such a must for me that it allowed me to actually begin to create the life that I wanted. And the fact is that my insecurities did hold me back for a long time because I didn't create a plan. I didn't really think about anything. I just kind of sat in it. Once I realized the level of dissatisfaction that I got to this point that I said, no more, I'm done, it allowed me to start logically taking a look because, again, I had an academic background. I knew how to get stuff done. I knew how to deliver results, but I just had zero clue on fitness, zero clue on what it was like to be confident. And so I began studying those things. But the key is that dissatisfaction is a must for you, for me, for all of us, but you can't run from the pain of that feeling until you actually have a plan on what to do with it. That is the biggest thing, if I can encourage you to really think about, is that if you don't like where you're at, get dissatisfied and acknowledge it. Call it out. Don't just feel it and say, my life sucks. Call out specifically what it is in your life that you're dissatisfied with and determine what would feel better than that. And then next thing you can do is determine a plan that would slowly take you to that point. The reason I say slowly is because if you want to get there so quick that it causes you to burn out and you don't get out of that hole that you're in, that I was in, is it worth it just because it's faster? Not at all. And that's what I've seen more than anything. And that's why we teach mindset. That's why we go into the depth of how to create habits and mindsets that are in alignment with a fitness coach instead of in alignment with a P90X or a Insanity workout client or customer. I'm not making fun of those programs. I'm simply stating that you can continue to do things that, like, where, for an example, I will always be a customer of an accountant. I'm not going to learn how to do that, and I'm very okay with that. I'm satisfied not knowing how to do all of my own accounting. I have a good understanding of taxation. I continue to learn things about that, but I'm okay never becoming an accountant. But I'm not okay not knowing how to keep myself healthy, well, confident, and how to make money, this, that, and the other. So within those things, if there's an area in your life that fits in with that category that you go, I don't desire this to be a career, but I definitely desire to have control of this thing for my own confidence or peace of mind or what have you, it's up to you to figure out that level of dissatisfaction, and it's up to you to find out what the plan is once you determine what the desired outcome is. If you want to learn more, if you want to figure out what it is to experience what I did, to go from feeling so insecure and feeling like you can't hardly stand to look at yourself in the mirror, where you almost anticipate rejection, and then to go to a point where you're so confident that you can produce things and you're confident enough that people actually mistake you for an extrovert. That happens. I'm definitely not an extrovert. I'm such an introvert. I'm just not shy. I'd love to chat with you. Shoot me a DM or comment below. Let me know. I'm not looking for somebody who is looking to get ripped quick. I'm not looking for people who are looking to get jacked as quick as they can. What I'm looking for is the person who watched this and goes, oh my gosh, he just described me. He described my insecurities and described exactly how I felt about myself. And it seems like he found a plan. And think of it as I have. And I would love to share that with you. I'd love to chat with you a little bit more about your struggles, a little bit more about your goals, and to see if and how I can help you. So nevertheless, I hope this resonated. If you feel like if this resonated or you connected with it at all, if you don't mind, comment below and let me know that this resonated. Either putting like, I get it, made sense, or hashtag resonated, whatever you want to do. And just let me know that this was something that you connected with, that you understood. So not always easy to kind of talk about vulnerabilities and things like that, especially about your greatest insecurities. I'm going to talk about a few more of those because I feel like it's so important. but I would like to know that at least people that are watching that it